Yeah, guys, so yeah, I want to make this video because I want you to understand why I have my criticisms of not uh, individual Muslims. I love Muslims. I have amazing friends who and I know people can say, oh, I have friends and this or that or this, but I generally have amazing friends who are Muslims. My problem isn't with that, it's what's in the books that is the problem. So I'm going to read to you some passages from the books, and I'm not going to say anything. I'm just asking questions here. I just want to know, do you have a problem with what is in the books? So this was done by a university, and it was a peer-reviewed paper. Okay, so the way I've got it typed out in that is because of it's a way of like reformatted it in to like fit into the screen. Okay, so the following are news items quoted from newspapers in the last few years. Now, this is just a very small sample. So you've got October 19th, 1994. A powerful bomb apparently placed inside Islamic militants opposed to the Arab-Israeli peace negotiations. So the Saudi Arabia. So talking about the Arab Accords. So they planted a bomb. Sorry, so we'll start again. By Islamic militants, and these were Palestinian extremist groups. So it blew up a crowded bus during the morning rush hour in Tel Aviv, Israel, killing 22 people and wounding 48. So this is 1994. This is the second Intifada. So the first Intifada was stones. It was things that being launched that were killing people. Then it went up to suicide bombers, bombs being placed in cafes, restaurants, buses, that sort of places. So then we're going to July 18th, 1995. A huge bomb exploded, destroying a 7-story downtown building and 2 Jewish groups in Buenos Aires in Argentina. 26 people killed, 127 injured. So this was in Argentina. Do you know there's a pattern here? I'm not going to say it, but there's a pattern. February 22nd, this is just 90s. 1993, a tremendous underground explosion believed to be caused by a bomb shook 110-story Twin Towers in Manhattan and the World Trade Centers in New York, killing at least 5 people, injuring more than 1,000, and sending tens of thousands of workers fleeing for their lives down crowded, smoke-filled stairs. And we haven't even hit 2001 yet, you know? But as I said, this is a very small sample. There's been hundreds of these attacks happened since. And these are before 9/11. Since 9/11, it's got worse. May 4th, 1992, 13 Egyptian Christians were shot dead by Muslim fundamentalists in Manshet Nasir, Nasser, Nazir, Egypt. 10 Christian farmers were ambushed, murdered. They were beheaded, but okay. Were working in their fields. A Christian teacher was also shot in a local school while teaching a class of 10-year-olds. So these 10-year-olds witnessed this. A Christian teacher was also shot dead outside his home. As it says, these are just a few samples out of thousands of terrorist attacks, which have all one element in common. They were all committed by Islamic. I don't want to use the word Muslim, so I'm going to use the word Islamic, because not all Muslims are the same. Islamic extremists. While there are extremist groups in the world who are capable of committing acts of violence, it seems that violence committed by Muslims extremists exceeds the violence of all other groups combined. So it's basically saying here there's extremist groups, yes, of other groups and Islamists out there, but the violence committed by extremist Islamist groups, the violence goes above and beyond horror when they act. Why do Muslim fundamentalists act this way? Are Muslim fundamentalists inherently inhumane, savage, evil? Of course not. Muslims are ordinary people just like anyone else. They're fathers, brothers, sons. They're doctors, engineers, lawyers. They're your co-workers. They're your next door neighbour. So what goes on in the mind when, and I'm going to use the word, they say they act violently, but I'm going to say when extremists act violently. To understand this, one must understand an important and dangerous Islamic teaching called jihad. Now, we've always been told that jihad is peaceful, no. Holy war. That's what jihad is holy war. It is important to understand that not every Arab is a Muslim, not every Muslim is an Arab, and not every Muslim is a fundamentalist. I again want to point that out again, especially that last word. Not every Muslim is a fundamentalist. There are millions of Muslims out there who are peace-loving people. We're not trying to attack a religion. Of course, we're not. No one's trying to attack a religion. We're not. I would say we're not trying to attack a people. We're trying to criticize an ideology. We're only exposing a teaching in religion that could have a serious effect on all society. It is also important to know what, in exercising jihad, Muslim fundamentalists may not think they are trying to maliciously hurt others. Now, they don't, because they think that what they're doing is for God. But rather that they're only obeying God. Oh, okay, I just said that. Its commandments, and in doing so, they are assuring themselves into paradise. So, jihad, which is holy war. Jihad is one of the most sacred duties Muslims perform. The word jihad is an Arabic word which means struggle. In this sense, jihad is the struggle from the cause of spreading Islam using all means available to Muslims, aka dawah, etc., including violence. I mean, Islam was not spread by peace, it was spread by the sword, remember that. This kind of jihad is often referred to as holy war. In resorting to violence, Muslims will not have any problem finding passages in the Quran believed by Muslims to be Allah's word and the Hadiths Muhammad's sayings as recorded by al-Bakri so his followers, that will not only condone violence, but will also demand it. So, jihad and the Quran. So they say this is the Quran, religion of peace, they say. Allah orders Muslims in the Quran to terrorize non-Muslims on his behalf. And this is in the Quran. Allah orders Muslims in the Quran to terrorize non-Muslims on his behalf. And I've always says, do not believe what I say. Go out and research this stuff for yourself. It also says, strike terror in the hearts of the enemies of, they'll say Allah, and your enemies. Surah 8:60. Fight and kill them, non-Muslims, and God will torment them by your hands, covering them with shame. Now, that's Surah 9:14. Now, there's a thing about shame that I'm going to bring up, but I'm going to get to that later, where they like to shame Jews and Christians. And there's a reason for that, but I won't get into it here. I will instill terror into the hearts of the unbelievers, smite ye above their necks. Why do you think when attacks happen that people are stabbed in the necks and the faces, or there's beheadings and hung by the neck? Because that's where Muhammad believed they called it the aorta. That's where he believed the life vessel was, or something like that. So henceforth, by striking the necks, it kills off the life-giving vessel. So when you heard the disgraceful things done, and I don't want to go over it, but I'll just say one little girl, she was so badly damaged that she was basically decapitated. And I'm sorry to trigger warning to let you guys know that, but yeah, other people were attacked in the necks and things like that. It's so that's why that when most people attacked, it's normally to their necks and heads. So I will instill terror in the hearts of the unbelievers, smite ye above their necks, and smite all their fingertips off them. It is not good it's not good enough just to slew them. It was God. Surah 8:13-17. Then we come to the hadith. There's more, but this is just, as I said, this is just samples. Jihad in the hadith. In the hadiths, Muhammad also urges Muslims to practice jihad. Muhammad was once asked, what is the best deed for the Muslims next to believing in Allah and his apostate? His answer was to participate in jihad, which means killing non-believers. Muhammad was quoted as saying, I have been ordered to fight with the people till they say, none has the right to be worshipped but Allah. Al-Bukhari, who is a highly regarded scholar, volume 4, 196. Muhammad also said, the person who practices in the holy battles in Allah's cause, and nothing compels him to do so except belief in Allah and his apostle, not apostate, sorry, I didn't mean that, apostle. So I apologize if I said apostate earlier. Will be recompensed by Allah either with a reward, as in 72 virgins in the afterlife, or booty, i.e. sex, slavery, if he survives. So when you go in and you kill all the men in a village, you pick up the women, and these are called war booty. Or they will be admitted to or they'll be admitted to paradise, like I said, if they're killed and get their 72 or 74 virgins with eternal erections, with 72 Williams with huge breasts. It just makes heaven sound like a prostitution den. Muhammad, an example. When the Prophet of Islam started preaching his new religion in Mecca, so what we have to remember was Mecca used to worship pagans. One of the pagans was a god named La. So during Muhammad's time, he would have given sacrifices and whatever to, and this is the inside where the Kabbalah is right now. So he would have given gifts to the gods, whatever. So they worshipped a moon god named La. When you look at the sign from Islam, it's a crescent moon. The moon god's name's La, very similar to Allah. So that is why Christians and Jews do not believe they worship the same God that we do. And we should be allowed to say that. We should be allowed to critique. You're allowed to critique, just like Muslims are allowed to critique Christianity and Judaism. Of course they are. I don't mind them criticising. Debate's a good thing. So then we go on. He was constantly told by Christians and Jews. Alright, so he went around telling people that he was in the Bible and in the Torah. When he went around saying, yeah, I'm prophesized, he got laughed at because his name and the word Islam, Muslim, Muhammad, anything to do with that was not in the Bible or the Torah. So they didn't believe him, which got him pretty angry because it made him look like a fool. So he was a consigliere to Christians and Jews. He told them, we believe in what has been sent down to us and sent down to you. Our God is the same as your God. Surah 29:45. This attitude changed completely after he gained strength. Allah then tells him to fight people of the book, the Christians and Jews. So, of course, you're going to get a lot of guys that are going to join your cause. If you fight in battle, you're going to get a ton of slaves that you can R-word. If you die in battle, you're going to go to this brothel like heaven. Sounds pretty tempting in those days, you know. And they believe if he's a prophet, they're going to think that he's going to know what's waiting for them on the other side. So, yeah, well, of course they're going to join them. What ready-blooded male at that time wouldn't? So, the reason his attitudes towards them changed is because they didn't believe he was the next prophet. They truly didn't. The Christians already had their Messiah come and was crucified, so we don't need another one. We just have to believe in Jesus. The Jews' story is a little bit different, but of course, we're like, you cannot be the last one, especially Christians. Our Messiah's already been crucified, risen. So how can you be the last prophet? We don't need the last prophet. The next episode to us is going to be during the rapture and stuff like that. So what do you mean you're a prophet? Again, because his name was, they also said his name wasn't in the book, it angered them. And Jews were the same. So it angered them. So he devised, he wasn't a stupid man, Muhammad. So he devised a plan. How can I get people to join? Oh, I know. Men are think about sex like how many times a day? Multiple times a day. So maybe if I tell them that they can get war booty and women and all this kind of stuff, and say to them they can have up to 4 wives, and all this other nonsense. Yeah, then they'll join me, and they did. They joined by droves. So, as I said, like, his attitude completely changed. And then his attitude from then was to fight and kill the people of the book, the Christians and Jews, who did not accept the religion and the truth of Islam. So what? And then they also expected that the Muhammad expected these people in their own land to pay, because they were spreading it by the sword, to pay income tax, jizya, he called it, by hand. So it says here, for people of the book who do not accept the religion of truth until they pay the penny of tax, aka the jizya, being making them, because Muslims didn't have to pay this, so it made them inferior to Muslims, and that's in Surah 29. It literally says that Christians and Jews are inferior to Muslims in Surah 9:29. It gets worse. Regarding Christians and Jews, it seems that Muhammad hated Jews more. And this is why you see, especially regarding the pro-Palestinian and Jewish war happening at the moment, why do you think we see people out celebrating the day after? You had Islamist extremists out celebrating the day after it happened, waving Palestinian flags, driving around Jewish neighbourhoods, shouting the most disgusting things, saying that they were going to RAPE their daughters. So, so they hated Christians the most. They hated Jews the most, but they also hated Christians too. During his lifetime, Muhammad devoted much of his efforts to getting rid of the Jews. You, Jew, should know that the earth belongs to Allah and his apostle. Well, I would have just thought the earth belongs to God. Muhammad was a normal man. Why does the earth belong to a normal man? The earth belongs to the Creator, regardless if you call this Creator Allah or not. It doesn't belong to a man. It belongs to God. Okay. So, you Jews, like, imagine referring to people as that. And suppose I want to expel, like, the Jews from this land, the Arabian Peninsula. So if anyone owns property, he is permitted to sell it. And if you can't get it sold in time, tough. You know, why don't, like, the pro-Palestine lot ever bring any of this up? Because they don't do their history. They don't even bother to try and learn that this isn't black and white. There's nuance and context, and all that time there were in Medina 3 Jewish tribes. 2 of them, the Qina and the Bani al-Nadir tribes, were besieged by Muhammad's men, blocking their access to food supplies. Oh, I wonder who that sounds like. So it's alright for them to do it then, but and do you honestly think that if the shoe was on the foot, that these Arab countries would be delivering food to Israel? Absolutely not. They wouldn't, because even their most precious man in the whole world says, like, not to deliver food to Jewish groups, and they have to live their life like this man, who's the most perfect man in all of history. So Muhammad's terms, which were that their lives would be spared, lucky them, but they must emigrate, e.g., leave from Medina, and that they must deposit all their belongings at a certain place for distribution amongst Muslims. You hear that? So you've lived in Mecca all your life, generations of your family have been born, raised, blah blah blah. Sorry, my mouth's so dry, I need to take a drink. Sorry. In Mecca, and you're being told that you have to get out because you're Jewish, and that your land's being confiscated, and you're not even allowed to take your belongings with them. You've got to place all of your belongings, all of them, in a certain place, and all of your belongings, everything that you own, is going to be distributed to the Muslims that are there. So you're leaving with nothing. No money, no clothing, nothing. The third tribe, the Bani Qaza, I hope I'm saying this right and not butchering it, was not as lucky. After the War of the Trench, in which Muhammad was besieged by the Qurayshites, led by Abu Sufyan, it was alleged that Bani agreed to provide help from within the Abu Sufyan forces, although they alleged help and did not materialize. The siege eventually ended. Nevertheless, Muhammad never forgave them for their willingness to help his enemies. So this little village, these other people were going to help them. Muhammad's fuming, serious, and is stewing on this, fuming. He's not going to let them get away with this, guys. So the Muslims turned against the Bani Jews and blocked their streets for 25 days. Jewish tribes expressed readiness to accept or surrender, terms which had been conceded to the other two Jewish tribes, namely concession of their. So this is what they'd said. We'll give everything to you. We'll give you all of our belongings, and we will depart to and give you the land. Just let us leave to go somewhere safe. Do you think that's what Muhammad allowed them to do? No. Muhammad, however, would not consent to this and instead appointed as an arbiter Sa'd ibn Mose, a man who was known to be on bad terms with the Bani tribe. Sa'd ruled that all Bani men should be beheaded. That the women and children should be sold into slavery and sexual slavery, and that all their property should be divided among the Muslims. Can you imagine that? Oh yeah, and they also took the kids' male children's underwear down, and if they had pubic hair, they were beheaded as well. If they didn't, they were taken into servitude. I don't know why they did that. I don't know. But they did do that. I can't remember this the Khyber thing. There was a thing about Khyber. That's why you hear them shouting Khyber ya Yahud, because it means it's talking about the way Muhammad humiliated and killed these Jewish tribes. I mean, imagine seeing your husband and your children beheaded in front of you. Your daughter's been taken away to be raped. You're then the same. Then you're divided up and passed around all these different men. And finally, you're taken to a slave market and sold, if not kept, by your slave master. You're taken to and you're sold into sex slavery. So, the men also, when they were younger, were castrated, so they could not breed. Or when they were attending Muslim daughters or anything like that, they could not, if any of them dared to fall in love with a Jew, you know, they would never be able to, like, breed. A bit supremacist there. Sounds very Hitler-esque, doesn't it? I wonder where Hitler got his ideas from. It's a question. I'm just asking a question. There's so much more worse stuff than this. It says, dear friends, there are historical facts. These are historical facts that happened 14 centuries ago. They represent a dangerous ideology for violence in the Islamic mentality. Fundamentalists are trying to repeat since act of violence in the 21st century. I mean, we even seen it with the Yazidi girls and ISIS, you know, the hostages that have been raped in the tunnels in Gaza, like raped to them. It's a form of humiliation. And I also want to show you the way the Christians had to live under They wanted to live in one of Muhammad's conquered countries. Yeah. If you think like a rat's treated badly, you want to hear the way these people were treated. Violence in the Islamic mentality most serious is that Muslim fundamentalists are trying to repeat these acts of violence in the 21st century. Yep. Guard our freedom and democracy. Let Jesus' message of tolerance and not violence rule our land. Put up again thy sword into its place, for all they take, all that they take is the sword shall perish the sword. Matthew 26:52. Know the truth, follow the truth, spread the truth. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. John 18:82. Sorry, I do need glasses, but this is just very small sampling. I'm going to start covering what's actually in the hadiths and what's in the Quran, because there's so much more worse about prepubescent girls who have been divorced. This is children who have been divorced. So some guys married a 7-year-old. She's not up to par for them because she's a bloody kid. And they're asking, like, oh, what do we do with her if we try to marry her off again? And they give instructions in the Quran. Well, if she's prepubescent, let's give her like a month. And then you can marry her and jump her. And if she's not, jump her bones, bang her if you want. But if she's not up to par again, then just divorce her. And again, I'm sure some prepubescent kiddie diddy lover will come along and take her, and that's for most kids. There is like passages for older women, I guess, but for some reason they want young virgins. Well, good luck in finding any in Britain, I tell you that much. Good luck in that. Because we do not believe in censoring people to do what they want with their bodies, you know. As long as they're not children, adults can do what they want with their bodies. But it's got to be consensual. Do you know, I was like up the centre the other day there. I never said this story. When I was picking out an outfit for these gruffle. You saw in my video going shopping. Do you know, I was bending over looking at something and I felt someone put their hand on my ass and pinch my bottom. I looked behind me and it was some Asian fella. And when I turned around, I said to him, "What the f are you doing? Like, you just molested me." He ran away out that shop as fast as he could. I tried to get the staff involved, but they're like, "Oh, we didn't see it. I was like, "Well, go to your bloody cameras and have a look. He's just literally touched me and parts I do not want meant to touch as a victim of rape. I bet like that's really triggered me." These people are just so woke. Are you sure he didn't brush up? No, I think I know the difference between someone grabbing my arse and squeezing it. And if he hadn't done anything wrong, why didn't he just say, "Oh, I'm so sorry I brushed up against you"? No, his hand was cupped round my buttock and he squeezed it and then pinched it with his fingers. But I left that story out because it wasn't a place to say it. So no, you cannot go around touching British women. It is unacceptable. No means no, and you shouldn't be allowed to touch a British woman unless you're given expressive permission to do so. We shouldn't have to give classes out to people that are coming to this country where it's not okay to RAPEE. I almost feel like I'm ready to burst into an Aretha Franklin song. Women and girls. Isn't that just like common knowledge? You know, that you don't push yourself upon people. That you don't touch them in intimate places. That maybe you should try learning the law of a country if you're going to want to live here. Maybe because, like, the country you came from allowed that. We in the West, I don't know about now, you know, since of that cover up, but mainly we in the West, that doesn't fly here. That doesn't fly here. Keep your hands off women and children. You're lucky I never lamped you in the face. But you see the thing is, see if I had of, I would have been the one that got arrested. Probably for racism or maybe Islamophobia. I don't know. But I'd have been the one got arrested, even though I'd have been the one that had been assaulted. It was a bloody joke. I was so angry with it. So, anyway. I'm going to find more and more and more of these and expose more and more and more and more and more and more and more. The more you threaten me, jihadis, sorry to say it, the more I am going to expose your religion of peace. I don't should think that it should be like peace be upon you. It should be bloody police be upon you. The amount of like nonsense that young girls have had to put up with. Like, it's not natural in the UK to hang around schools. Approaching our young girls saying like, oh, you want to come have sex with me? No, no, of course they don't. Of course they don't. They want to, they're kids, they want to go to school. They want to go and hang out with their friends, you know? Play with their makeup and stuff like that. It's the last thing on their mind. I also have a story with a situation that happened to me. It's not it's a story that could have went really wrong, but luckily it didn't, and it was to do with a night out in Glasgow, and the police were involved in it, and two Asian guys that had they spiked my drink, but this is neither the time or place for it. But like I said, keep at it, keep trying, sending your little threats or whatever. The more and more you do it, the more and more I'm going to expose your book. And there's some stuff in there I know for a fact you do not want to get out. Especially about, I don't know, let's just say the Al-Zook tribe. Yeah, maybe that's what I'll do a video on next. Let's do a video on Muhammad versus the Al-Zooks. This will give you guys the biggest laugh ever. Your tears will be rolling down your face because they were mine when I found out about this. I didn't believe this was true until I learned this. Yes, of course, this is true. It's true. Hadith. They use a certain word to prove a hadith's reliable. It's a true. Oh, it begins with an S. I'm beginning to think. True. It's not Sahil. Anyway, I'll think about it for the next video. But yeah, the next video will be Muhammad versus the dwrdyk tribe. Do you think like sending me things like that is gonna make me back down? Nah, you met the wrong person. You met the completely wrong person. I'm not after Muslims. I genuinely am not. There's hundreds of thousands of great Muslims in our country. They're amazing people. But there's also a good percentage of people who are just out of control. And we need to school them on what is alright and what is all wrong. And this is maybe the history that you've been taught. But this isn't the law of our land. So you want to live here, I advise you to learn our law. Alright. See you later, guys. Oh, and I might be doing a live later with one of my good friends. So, I'll let you guys know if it's happening or not. I love you all so much. And, yeah. Yous all mean the world to me. All of yous. I don't care if you're what country you're from, what religion you're from, whether you're Christian, Jew, Sikh, Muslim, Hindu, whatever. Maybe they have to get rid of the hadiths. I don't know. But then if they got rid of the hadiths, how would you know how to pray? Because it's not in the Quran. The reason they know how to pray is because of the hadiths. It's just, yeah. So we'll get into more of this. But like I said, I'm going to go. Love y'all. Having a great day. And, mwah. Bye, guys.